Welcome to our pod, and by that I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah,
I'm Laura.
and we are two best friends who usually do a deep dive into a new book series one book at a time, except when it is Tuesday, and we are talking about
When we're raging out because Hannah made us watch a terrible movie.
so okay, yes, when we are raging out because Hannah made multiple people watch a 2019 movie that is
I said
about
us.
watch a Harry Styles fanfic movie that went on to have multiple sequels that were all theatrical releases, and a
Mind
movie
blowing.
I had honestly never seen, but I knew so much about it just because. Okay, so we're covering the movie After, guys, and
It's
I
on Netflix, people. I would recommend not
not
watching
watching.
it.
Just listen to this episode of us raging out on After
hmm
because there's plenty
hmm
to say because this movie is in fact terrible.
Terrible.
It's not good. It is unwatchable. I cannot
It
recommend it.
truly is
But I do
unwatchable.
I do think it is an interesting discussion because these are not good movies, but they do open us up to something we haven't really discussed much, which is like the fan fiction universe.
We
And
discussed it with Taskmaster and Wheel of
yeah,
Time a little bit.
yes, a little bit, but we haven't really gone into like the culture around fan fiction
Sure.
and the unique culture around Harry Styles fan fiction. Because I didn't realize this. I have a weird fascination about like movies that come out that surround Harry Styles because there have been multiple. There
What
was this
others
one.
are there?
There was this one after, and then there was one starring Anne Hathaway. And I did offer you that movie. And you said, no, I want to watch the terrible one because they said there's
Yeah,
one
I
really
would
bad
rather
one and
hate on
one
something.
kind of bad one. Um,
hmm
but Anne Hathaway starred in a 2024 Harry Styles fan fiction called The Idea of You.
Mm.
And it's about like a
A
older
Brit.
woman having a summer romance with this British man who is coded as Harry Styles. So
So this was kind of based on like Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles.
I would say no, because in the movie she is very much like I guess I mean she is a mom and Olivia Wilde is a mom, but she's kind of like
hmm
this woman who her husband cheated on her. They went through this divorce and she's like raising her daughter and her ex is very like distant and things and she's kind of very closed off and she has to take her daughter to Coachella because her ex backed out on it and she runs into this Harry Styles person. And so
Mm.
these books or like this type of genre has always held a weird fixation to me of like One Direction is so ubiquitous that it is reasonable not only to write fan fiction about Harry Styles, but it could potentially get published and get you a movie. And that's
It blows my mind that people are so obsessed with Harry Styles.
right. Like it's very weird to me. So I did become very obsessed with the After movies. I know quite a bit about movie 1 and movie 2. I
Okay,
have
and that's based
no
on the book.
And it's based on books by Anna Todd,
Okay.
which, spoiler alert, Laura's history was Hannah said, we're going to watch these after movies. It's Harry Style fanfic, and that is about
Yes,
all
yes,
she
yes.
knows. So, but
I know nothing about this besides I don't like the movie.
my experience with these is when they were coming out, I do remember specifically one of my friend's little sister who just got engaged this weekend. So congratulations to her
Hmm.
for her engagement. But I was like visiting their apartment and she had these after books. And I remember like looking at them and I was like, oh, what are those books about? And she's like, oh, they were like originally Wattpad
hmm
books published it on Wattpad. She got a contracting deal because everyone loved them. And I was like reading them on Wattpad and now I'm like buying the books. And she was reading like one of the the later books. And I remember her being like, I don't know, it's just these two characters at his family cabin going into different rooms and screaming at each other in front of his family members. And you're sitting there thinking, I don't think you two should be together anymore. And like that was my first introduction into Tessa and
hmm
Hardin, the two main characters.
Yeah.
So I remember when like the trailers came out because I would like watch them because I like knew about these books. And
So
then
this was something that you just had a weird fascination with, where you were like,
yes,
I must know more, even
I
though I
I'm
hate it.
I must know more and also nothing because I refused to watch them
hmm
until 2 nights ago. Um, but yes, for listeners who should not watch these movies, After is the original history of it is this. creator Anna Todd wrote these books about Tessa and Harry Styles. But of course, like I think later when it was becoming more popular, I can't remember if it was always a different name or if, but like it was always coded as Harry Styles. Changed it to Harden,
Tessa Young and Hardin Scott.
which I don't think is a real name. Like, I don't.
I think that they just think, you know what? Americans don't know British names, so it's fine.
And there's like obviously some like showings that it's coded as him because like you have he has a best friend named Zed, and I was like, wow, they couldn't think of anything other than like Z instead of Zane.
Hmm.
Like um and they fall in love on a college campus and they have a very long and very tumultuous relationship throughout the course of all of these books. And I know that in the second movie, one of the Sprouse twins shows up as
Oh,
like a
good God.
foil for Hardin, and like, and that's why I'm
Oh,
like, oh,
good
I
God.
remember that because like there's a joke that he can't stand this kid, and he finds him in Tessa's hotel room, and Tessa let him use her shower because like she had to because it's a Wattpad book,
Of course,
and
yeah. There's no
Hart
other shower ever available. He couldn't wait.
and Hardin like walks in and this man named Trevor's like walking out of the shower and he's like fucking Trevor, and then like in another movie they
Oh,
were
good.
wearing like a t-shirt that said like fucking Trevor on it to like make a joke about this
Okay.
previous film that was unwatchable. So like these movies have legs, Laura, but
Well, we're just talking about the first awful one, thank God.
yes.
And it's mostly about I kept calling her a Mormon coded,
I mean,
naive
she is
college girl.
Mormon coded because like
Yeah.
it's wild what clothing they're putting her in. Like just
Yeah. And like the aesthetic and everything is very much Mormon coded to me. She seemingly comes from like kind of a richish family and she is seemingly somewhat of a prude. They're making her out to be and has a long-term relationship with a man who is in his 30s, but we're to
but is
believe has not
also
graduated high school yet.
Noah.
Noah.
Yeah,
And so she ends up in college and is immediately thrust into a weird friendship, a group dynamic because her roommate is a senior who's like really a free spirit and
which
into
doesn't make sense
like
because that's not how college works. Like they would never be like,
they would
"Oh,
never do that. So I
no."
guess I need to go back even because I'm trying to explain. I'm too worried that Hannah's going to go deeper into the lore, and so I'm thinking I need to explain how bad this movie is before before Hannah can get into the lore. But we
That's,
start
I
off
mean, you've
seeing
exhausted my lore, so we're good.
okay. We start off seeing Tessa Young, Mormon coded girl, being dropped off to college with her mother, Selma Blair. How dare we do this to Selma Blair? How dare we?
I think we only do
And
this to her for one more movie, and then she
oh
is replaced
gosh.
by another 90s actress. So if that makes you feel better.
Does make me feel a little better. But Selma Blair plays her mother, and then she has her boyfriend Noah, who is also dropping her off at college. They only have 3 boxes of things that are not full. And they open the door and they find Tessa's new roommate, who I wanted, what was her name again?
Oh my God. The amount of times I didn't know someone's name. At the end of the movie, she
It's
goes,
not
Molly,
Molly.
she goes, Molly, why would you tell me this to the other foil character? And
It's Steph.
I go, I don't think we've known Molly's name since she was introduced until this moment. I
You
don't
know
think
what?
they
I
used
do
her
remember
name.
Molly, and I will get to why I remember Molly. But the roommate's name is Steph. I just
Perfect.
found out. And they are dropping Steph off at school, and Steph is like smoking seemingly pot and is, covered in tattoos, and she's wearing fishnets. So we know that she's a bad girl. And she makes like a really inappropriate comment to the
In
mother.
front of her mom, this girl is 18 being dropped off, and
Yeah.
the friend is like, oh, well, like they never card. And I was like, why would you ever say
She's
that in
like,
a
I
million
can get you into
years?
like all of the places because they never card around here. So
And
it's
it's just
really
like,
cool.
that's an insane, there's so many
And the
moments where
mom
you're
is
like, that's an
immediately
insane thing to
takes,
say.
yes, and the mom immediately takes her out in the hall and is like, we're going to find you a different roommate, as most sane parents would do. And
Right.
Mormon coded daughter says, Don't worry, Mom. I won't get distracted. You know me. Would I ever get distracted by something like this? To which I thought, yes, immediately
Yes.
you will get distracted by something like this. And Selma Blair says, you're right, 17-year-old Mormon coded girl. You will not get distracted because I trust you implicitly. And
They
so she
also
lets
have that
her
whole like we didn't I didn't have a father growing up, so my mom is the most important person to me thing,
seemingly
but also ignores every single phone call from her mom and
and
almost
also
doesn't speak to
disrespects her
her again.
constantly. Where like she tries to parent her and she's like, Mom, please, please. Are you seriously trying to parent me right now? It's me. I need to be parented? Mom, come on. And Selma Blair's just like, you're right. You're right. I've
So
parented you
funny.
so well that you don't need to be parented anymore. So wild. But then what happens after that is that Tessa goes to classes for like a day and then she is immediately sucked into her friend group, her roommate's friend group, which includes this Harden Scott.
I
And
guess because the
he's
only
a
one who
random
wants her
British man
there
whose
is
dad is the
Steph.
chancellor.
Like, Steph is the only one who wants Tessa there. Everyone else is like, can this girl leave? She is Mormon coded, and we are all seniors. She's too young to be hanging out with us. Which, honestly, yeah, I do think that that's an appropriate way to
Yes.
act when you are a 22-year-old and an
Mhm.
18-year-old starts hanging out at all your parties. But Steph signs off for, can we, like, okay, I know you're breaking down the plot and we will, like, get through it, but can we talk about the fact that Hardin and her meet cute is her coming in to a room with a towel and him refusing to leave the room so
So
she can
yes.
change?
Um,
Like,
so yeah, as I was saying, Tess is immediately thrown into Steph's friend group and she meets Hardin for the first time when we see her showering for one of the many montages, her just like meandering around campus, having a great time. And then she is like, you know what? I love being an econ major. I made a friend in one of my classes. Haha. Now I'm going to take a shower. She comes back to her room and Hardin is in her room reading a book, probably Wuthering Heights, because we learn he's obsessed with that, because of course he is. And then she was like, excuse me, can you leave? And he's like, no, I can't leave. And we're like,
don't flatter
get,
yourself. I'm not even looking at you. And
we're
it's just
like,
like,
get out.
this just reminds me of like in like Laura and I obviously went to college together. We had like our dressers hiding where we got dressed. And I'm pretty sure most women were still like, "Hey boys, get out of the
Get
room. I'm
out.
dressing." And like that was an okay thing to do because
It
women
was
were
not
changing
uncommon
their
to have
clothes.
people's boyfriends be over or something like that, and that you would have to be in that situation where you would be like, "Can you please leave so I can get dressed?" Like
Right.
that would indeed happen. So Hannah and I are not like unaware of this type of situation, but for someone to straight up refuse seems unheard of. That
It's
they
just
would not
so
leave
weird.
because
Yeah.
he's like, and then he does eventually leave and makes a comment to her about like the Great Gatsby. He's like, I hate to spoil it for you. And it's like, dude, this book's been out for ages. Go ahead and spoil. No one
Also,
cares.
I'm so sorry. There are just certain moments where you can feel the Wattpadness and like the discussion of the books being The Great Gatsby, Wuthering Heights, and Pride and
Pride
Prejudice.
and
It's just like
Prejudice.
every girl who is 16 reading a book and being like,
Yes.
yes, these people are so deep. I love it.
Yes, these would be the books. So I was just having a discussion about Wuthering Heights recently because my sister-in-law read it and was like, "This was insufferable. I couldn't stand it. I'm trying to do like a classics challenge and I couldn't stand this." And I was like, "You know what? I get it." And I'm someone who I actually do like Wuthering Heights,
I like Wuthering Heights, but like,
but you cannot romanticize that book. That book is
no,
not meant to be romanticized. That book is deeply interesting, but it is not meant to be like, this is the greatest love story I've ever read.
this
Like,
is two
no.
half siblings being obsessed with one another
Yes.
and really weird.
It's a
Yeah.
deeply interesting and traumatic family drama, but it
Yes.
is definitely not something where you're like, I read the one quote where it says, whatever our souls are made of, hers and mine are the same. Like, no, like that's, you're
As
taking things
he's,
out of context here.
yes.
But, anyways, and all of the books that are mentioned in this are taken out of context to make it romantic teen drama. But,
Elizabeth
anyways,
Bennet is just a stupid girl who leads Darcy on
we'll
as
get there, Hannah. We'll get there. So she ends up going with Steph to a party, and I think this is what happens. Yeah, they end up going to this party, and they're with her friends Zed, Molly, Jace, who is like 40 and a
40.
tattoo.
He's so
He
old.
is so much older than everyone else and a tattoo artist. And because bad boy, ultimate bad boy. If you're a tattoo artist, like, whoa, bad boy. But
Definitely means you're gonna sexually assault someone 5 scenes later.
oh gosh. But anyways, and that's where she meets Harden again.
hmm
Oh,
But this
and
time she runs into his room and she sees that he reads Wuthering Heights and
well,
very deep.
but first, they are
Oh yeah, you
playing
forget playing
truth or
Truth or
dare,
Dare.
Hannah. How could you forget? Because this is integral to the plot.
It is
So they're
integral to the
playing
plot.
truth or dare, and it's revealed that Tessa is a virgin. And oh, ha, 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 how hilarious that she is a
Also,
virgin.
not uncommon when you go to college and your boyfriend's also 17 years old and
Not
still in
uncommon
high
at
school.
17 years
Yeah,
old.
like
Come on, people. This is the kind of stuff that I hate. But
it's like the movie Crossroads where the girl's like, "You're a virgin," and it's like, who cares? They're in high
oh,
school.
good Lord. It drives me insane. But anyways, they dare her, or no, they give her a truth to like reveal whether or not she's a virgin. And so that comes out. And then she does proceed then to say, fine, dare. And I'm like, you already did your truth technically and got embarrassed, but what by these stupid people. But whatever. They dare her to kiss Harden and she refuses and is like, I would never do that. You
No,
just
that's not. She looks
disgust me.
into his eyes and she goes, I'm done playing your games. They're
That's right.
not his games. They are the group's games. He has not been playing games with her to this moment. He has just been
That's true.
weirdly
The only
leering over her.
The only game that he has played has been like staring at her constantly, and then when she is dared to kiss him, he immediately gets up and is like about a centimeter away from her,
Yes.
and so then she's like, "I'm just trying to breathe here, and if I move even so slightly, I could end up kissing him." So then she does reject his advances. Then she goes to his room, sees that he has a million tabs in Wuthering Heights, ultimate green flag. That he's taking notes from Heathcliff on how to love. So we know from Hannah, you and I know from just experience with men that if they are modeling themselves after Heathcliff, why can't
No,
Heathcliff
it's okay. I've
ultimate
been
green flag?
I've been rewatching Never Have I Ever, and James McEnroe does the narration for it, and it
Yeah.
is so effective having an adult narrate that show who is just a man, because
Hmm.
there's a moment where Paxton Hall Yoshida goes like, Davey, I'm just like really not into labels, and I really like you, but I just really like what we have, and I want to experience that together, and I just don't want other people to find out. And James McEnroe comes over and he goes, now, we as adults in the room know that this is a ridiculous statement, but Davy, who is a sophomore in high school,
Doesn't have a clue.
and I was just like, that's like the Wuthering Heights of it all,
Yeah.
where it's like if you flash to like James McEnroe being like, and we as adults in the room know that that's a big old red flag, but Tessa is 18 and a virgin, like
And possibly Mormon.
Mormon.
Uh,
Could they? I'm so sorry. This is such a tangent. Could they not afford the budget to let her get her blonde hair dyed again before she went into this movie? Because her highlights were so low on her face throughout
Yeah.
the entire film.
Her eyebrows are a particular style too that
She's not like the other
is out.
girls. She needs
But
to get her hair to the salon.
I will say that, like, I keep saying she's Mormon coded, and the reason I keep saying that is, and maybe it's more like evangelical coded or something like that. We are given this view of her. She's a very blonde white girl who is
She is
often pictured in like
constantly
long jean dresses or like long skirts,
white. I remember the white dress where
very white.
she takes off the dress and she immediately has black underwear underneath. And I was like, why
Hmm.
were you wearing that with your white dress, you
Right.
weirdo? Like,
Lots of kids, like
yes.
that. Yeah. And so it's very much like I'm an angelic girl who
I'm
knows
gonna be
no
an
wrong.
engineer who really just loves
I
my
love
English class.
econ. Well, she's like, I'm gonna be an econ major because I want to get a job. I obviously can't be an English major. Okay. Cool. But anyway, so they played that truth or dare game, and then she rejects his advances, leaves, and the next day she's chatting with her friend Landon and figures out that he and Hardin are going to be stepbrothers because their parents are getting married. That Hardin's dad is actually the chancellor of the school
And
and
American, even though
um,
Hardison is
American
British.
somehow, because he's actually from Chicago and used to be in a fake relationship with Sandra Bullock because he is, in fact, Peter
Is
Gallagher.
this also the scene where her 30-year-old boyfriend shames her for drinking a beer and calls her mom on her?
Yes, that indeed happens, Hannah, because after she leave, actually, this is before we get to her finding out about Hardin. She is upset after having her quote unquote friends shame her for being a virgin. So she calls her boyfriend Noah, who she's been in a relationship for a long time, and she has mentioned like he's her only friend and that he is nice to her and she really likes that, which is very sweet actually. I do like that. Like he's her friend.
Yeah.
And so what does he do? He also decides to shame her for how could you
He's
drink?
awful. He's just
He's
like texting
terrible.
her all night and being like, "You should be ashamed. I just know that this is not the real you."
This is
And
not
then
you. We talked about this. You weren't going to get distracted. And then he goes and tells her mom,
he's like, "I spoke to your mom about this."
I
And
had to do this. And I'm
I'm
like, did
sitting
you?
there
Did
and
you have to do this, Noah?
I'm like, you didn't even know how drunk she was. You didn't know. Like,
No.
I would be more worried about, like, hey, you seem to have left this party
What about her safety? Do you
upset.
know how to get
Did
home?
you walk home alone? Like, you shouldn't be doing that. Is there something you could have done to make sure that you weren't alone? Like, he was just awful throughout all of
There's
that. You're just,
year-old tattoo artists at this, and you are underage. Like, we should be more concerned about that.
it's weird because, like, obviously or I went to a Catholic school. So, like, I could see randomly, like, some high schooler coming to school on a Monday being like, I found out that my boyfriend drank at a party and it was just a huge breach of trust. But at the same, but like, it's so funny to go so hard to be like, I called your mom. You are an adult. Like, that's an insane thing to do.
I, yeah. And so the mom starts like trying to call her, and it, I don't know that she even answers. I think she just ignores her mother's calls,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering
Her
right.
best friend, her other best friend, she
Yeah.
just says, I'm not dealing with
And
this.
honestly, if Selma Blair calls you, you answer. You answer Selma Blair's calls, Tessa Young, you rude,
Oh,
rude daughter.
what's she
But
supposed to do? She's young.
so, anyways, then the next day, then after all of that happens, so she's
We
had
learned
like
about the Chancellor
ultimate
thing
betrayals.
and
Yes,
yeah.
she does learn about Hardin being stepbrothers with p future stepbrothers with Landon,
Yeah.
her friend. And so then they end up in this English class, and her professor has them immediately discussing Pride and Prejudice because, love. And Hardin is in this class, and somehow Landon and Tess are in this class with seniors. I don't know. And they're so like thrilled that they got into this class. I don't understand
None of
this.
the actual academics of this show make sense
None of it
ever.
makes
Like it
sense.
just does not make sense.
So, anyways, they immediately are jumping into discussion on the first day. Like, okay. And usually it was just like syllabuses the first day, if I remember correctly, from
It was here's what you're going to learn
the
in the
first day of
class.
college. But, anyways, so they immediately jump into debates, and Hardin's basically like, Elizabeth Bennet was awful. And
He's literally being like red pill bro from a
yes,
podcast, being like,
yes.
Elizabeth Bennet was just
He's like, I just
stringing
watched a bunch of Manosphere videos, and I know that
he
Elizabeth
was
Bennet
just
was
stringing Darcy
awful.
along
She was
as like
way out of her league.
it's also so funny to me to do that with Pride and Prejudice, a book that famously has a rejection scene in it of like, I'm not going to marry you. So like she strung him along to get to the yes. And she
Yeah.
famously does not do that. She says, no, thank you. I do not want to marry you.
That I was questioning as he's making these comments. So Tessa's like
And
trying to
he's like,
defend this and getting very upset. I was questioning as he's making these comments, like, did you actually read it? Like, do you?
it's
I
also
I think we
so
read
funny.
different books. Did you read the
Again,
Theo Von version? Like, come on.
again, it's just like the Wattpadiest of Wattpad, where she's like, it's the most feminist novel I've ever read. And I'm like, well, it's also
Well,
not that. Like, we can, like, I'm a
let's
Pride and
also
Prejudice head.
acknowledge that you're getting, and she does get like overly emotional about this too, where
Yes.
I'm like, come on, girl. Like,
And then he's like, well, I just don't believe in love. And you're like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, this is Wattpad. Because it's just like the perfect, like, I don't believe in love. And
he,
in two
yes.
scenes, I'm going to make a complete 180 and you're going to believe it for reasons, question
Well,
mark.
so after that happens, this weird debate, he then does not leave this girl alone. And she's like, even, and she obsesses over this thing because
Yeah.
she's just like, you know what makes me angrier than anything? Not my family, like not my mother, my
Not my
long-term
shitty
boyfriend
boyfriend.
being awful to me. You know what makes me mad? People putting down Pride and Prejudice. How dare they put down Pride and Prejudice? So I will just
Honestly, that
obsess over this.
that's the most realistic thing that happened in that movie because me at 18 would have been that woman of like, I don't give a shit about my family,
Like
but
days
like,
later,
like
days later, you're in a coffee shop and you're just like, ah.
oh, that guy insulted Pride and Prejudice. It's my favorite movie. I love Colin Firth. Like,
It's literally what she's doing. She's supposed to be studying at a cafe or a coffee shop, and in comes Harden to order because he's a bad boy, just a plain black coffee. And which made me so mad that they were like, oh, just a plain black coffee. Like, come on. But anyways, she immediately is like mad at him and because of this and like stewing over it. But then he invites her to come with him to this secret place. And she's like, okay, fine. And I
but it's
can't get over
also
that.
again, this is what patification of like they just had the worst tumultuous like I'm going to write this person off discussion of their lives because like any
Mhm.
normal person would be like I don't need to interact with this person anymore. And the next second he meets her because it's two chapters later and it's being published on Wattpad, there's a complete 180 and we do not know why. We have no
No.
clue why.
And
He
it
just
makes
walks up to
zero
her
sense
and he says,
because she
I just
seemingly was very mad.
yeah, and he's like, I just think we should be friends. We're gonna hang out a lot. And she's like, well, fine, we can be friends. And then he's like, okay, get
And then
in
he's
my
like,
car. I'm
come
gonna
with me.
drive you
I'm
to a
going to
remote
a,
area.
yeah,
And
I'm
she's like,
going to a
okay.
very secluded place. And I have a classic car that I would like to drive across an abandoned highway, which he
Oh,
does.
which he does.
And he takes her to a very secluded place, which, if the music had been different in this movie, it would have seemed very sinister.
Oh
And
gosh.
so then he's just like he hops into the lake at this secluded air in this secluded area and he's like, "Let's go swimming. Let's go swimming." And she's uncomfortable with it and he's like, "Put on my band t-shirt. That'll make you more comfortable." So she does because he's always wearing like Pink Floyd or Ramones t-shirts
Again,
because he's
Wattpad of I
a
put on
cool
his
guy.
t-shirt and it was so big on me. And the way it looks on her, I'm like, that
It fits
had
her
to be
perfectly
but also like it's
because he's
down
a
to
skinny
her
little man.
knees. And I'm like, he's a skinny little man, but that t-shirt looks like it's at least two sizes bigger than when he was wearing it originally. Like it
Because they're
looks
different t-shirts.
they're different t-shirts because it has to cover her knees, and that's
Hmm.
not how t-shirts work. So
Here's
it's
the
just
thing. I'm like a similar size to my husband. He and I could wear the same t-shirt size. Like and
my
we
husband, I have very big boobs, and a lot of times our t-shirts, he buys a smaller size t-shirt than I do. So that's fine. I can
mhm.
still wear his t-shirts, but guess what? They usually don't work that well on me
I'm
because
just
we
saying,
have a
even though
different.
that this man Harden is taller than her and quote unquote bigger, no,
No.
this t-shirt would look exactly the same on the two of them.
But it is
But
like
it looks huge on her
can't
because
you imagine reading this like
gotta be her
at
tiny little pixie
16
like.
and being like, oh my gosh, he wants me to feel comfortable when I'm swimming with him. So I put on his t-shirt and the
Never mind
long
that I had to
t-shirts.
also strip down in front of him in
Yes.
order to do that.
The t-shirt skinned my knees. I felt so tiny and demure in this tiny t-shirt. Like that's what where my
I
mind
felt
kept
like a little
going.
fairy.
And I was like, oh my gosh, 16-year-olds around the world were like, this is a beautiful passage. I love it
I
so
know.
much. Which also, okay, guys, we're making fun of this because we are two women in our mid 30s and we get to. That's all right. Because like we were these people
Hmm.
who ate these books up sometimes and we get to laugh about them now.
Yep.
16-year-olds get to be horny and weird and do stuff that we
Yeah.
disagree with. So if this is
I
like
will say though, Hannah,
if you
were you deeply uncomfortable watching some of these things too?
a
Because
baby's first orgasm in the water and I was like, get out of
God,
there. You don't know what if that's clean or
some of
not.
this made me very uncomfortable to watch, where I was like, ew, these are kids.
I
I don't like this.
every time it like shifted into sensual, it was dead quiet in our house because my
Oh,
sister-in-law and I were
it's
like,
so
I don't want to
uncomfortable.
watch this. Like, this is awful.
It's so
But yeah,
uncomfortable.
it's very uncomfortable watching two teenager. I said
Well,
it
and
didn't
they end
help
up,
that he looks like a teenager. Like he
yes,
and her both look like they are
they
teenagers.
very much look like teenagers. I think they're like 27 now, and this
Yeah,
came out in 2019,
19. So they were
so
like
21.
21. And so they do look like they're 21. So it is massively uncomfortable to be like a
When you're
35-year-old.
21, you definitely can pass for 19 or 20. Well, honestly, he would have been 21 playing 21.
Yeah,
And
I just
so,
don't need to see 21-year-olds making
mhm,
out with people anymore. It's icky to me. Like
yeah,
I don't need
it's
that.
gross.
Uh,
It's gross.
just us going like, you guys are disgusting with your kissing, and
I,
it's just not for us. It's
I
not
just don't
sensual
think
for us.
we like to watch teenagers making out.
I think that that's okay.
It's weird. I don't like it. And so, anyways, they make out in the water, and then they're like, "Oh, we can only be friends." And he's like, "I don't think I could only be
Ever be
friends.
friends with
I don't
you.
think I could ever be friends with you."
Again,
Okay.
Wattpad. Every girl melted in that scene when they read it
Oh
online
my
and thought,
gosh.
I need another chapter right now.
I don't think I could ever be friends with you. All right. And then she gets like upset because he was touching her, and she's like, and he says something to her like, "Oh, you've never been touched before." And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "We have all the time in the world for me to touch you."
Well, because he
Immediately cuts to a
stops
restaurant
and
of
she's like
them.
trying to get closer to him. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, you guys are literally out in the open.
Yeah.
You have never had, like, I'm so sorry, you've never
I will
been.
also say too, like, it's tick season. Like they need to,
That's me being like, he shouldn't be putting his hands in you when he's in the water. You don't know how
like,
clean that is. That's
it's not clean. There's
disgusting.
fish in there. No,
Oh my God,
people,
I
no.
want to talk about that restaurant scene for 5 million years because it cuts to the
So it
restaurants.
immediately cuts to the restaurant, and it's so uncomfortable because it's like them. They both had ordered burgers. A waitress comes over and she's like, "I didn't want ketchup with my
Nope.
fries."
Nope. Hold on. Before that, she starts stealing his fries off of
When she
his
has a whole
plate.
pile of
She
them.
has a whole pile, and he's like, what are you doing? There are certain moments in this where I'm like, are you? I have a question for
Oh,
all of
that's
the
right. But
characters
before
of,
that,
are
she's like,
you
"Why do you
human?
call them chips?" And he's like, "Why do you call them French fries? They're not French." And
Yes.
then she starts stealing his fries and giggling.
She has
And
a huge pile, and it's just the
mhm,
most 15-year-old flirting because he's
yeah.
like, stop stealing my fries. You're not being human. And she's like, ha ha ha, I just like yours. I want yours. And then
And then
the
the waitress
waitress
comes over and
walks
she's like,
over.
"I didn't want ketchup with my fries." So the
No, she
waitress
goes,
takes her
I didn't
food.
want ketchup on my burger. And she sends back the entire plate of food that she had
Because
just
she wants it
stolen.
to be spit on. And that's essentially that's what I thought immediately. I was like, "You idiot. You put ketchup on the burger." That's how
But
that works because there's bottles on the table that we can see. So
also,
this means they're going to just take your food back and spit on it because they're mad at you for doing something so dumb.
also, why did you steal his fries then? You just took fries to send back. What are we talking about? What's going on? What's
What's going on?
happening?
What's happening?
That
What are
was
we doing?
I was watching it, and I was like, none of that made sense. Because then he's like, you're so weird. An American who doesn't like ketchup. And I'm like, many Americans
Many
don't like
people do not
ketchup.
like ketchup.
Go to Chicago, we don't allow ketchup on our hot dogs.
Hmm.
Like,
If this was something where we were, per se, in the Midwest and we said, "You don't like ranch?" What?
right.
That would maybe be more regional specific, but or mustard. Mustard is a big thing in the Midwest,
Yes.
but also like ketchup is something that is very like specific to food aversions. Like people do not always like certain condiments if they have food aversions, and I think
But
ketchup is one
also,
of those that people are very hit or miss on. So it's a
don't
weird
steal
thing to be
his
like, "How
fries.
dare Americans not like you?"
But also, do you
Their
know what would have
ketchup.
made more sense with that scene? If she had sent the burger back and then she started stealing his fries, and he was like, "You can't just send a burger back and then expect to eat my food." That is still flirty,
Mhm.
but the blocking makes logical sense, and this scene did not. So,
Very little of this makes any sense. So then Molly and Zed show up at the diner, and Molly has been previously like very flirty with Hardin, and she is like a cool girl who always is giving Tessa the side eye, and she promises to tell about the kiss that she shared with Hardin or something like that.
she's like, I
And
have to go tell Noah about the fact that I actively
mhm,
cheated on him, like, and was willing to do so.
yeah, and then Hardin's like basically like, "Look, Molly, I don't date." Or no, who does he tell that to? He says that
He says it to Tessa
to
because,
Tessa. That's
like,
right. 'Cause he's
because
like, "I
Tessa's
don't
like,
date, so it's not an issue.
I
Like, don't
think I
worry."
should tell my boyfriend I
Yes.
cheated on him. And he's like, you shouldn't do that because
He's
I
like, "Don't
wouldn't date you.
worry, because we're
Here's
not
the thing.
dating."
I'm so sorry. If you did cheat on your boyfriend, you should probably break up with them. Like, I do
Yes.
think that that is the right idea.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's unfortunate to say, but please don't do that, Tessa.
Yeah. Noah's not great, but he doesn't deserve to be cheated on and lied to. So then Noah does come to college to
Oh my
visit Tessa, and they go to a bonfire. She goes to this bonfire and brings him, and they're like, "The cops are coming." And
God.
he's
But
like,
wait, first they do a game of suck and blow, which is a game
"Oh,
that I
yes.
don't think I've ever seen actually played in all of existence.
No, I've
But
never heard of this."
the sexual predator 40-year-old like
Yes.
accidentally quote unquote drops it and kisses
Hmm.
Tessa the 18-year-old, and Hardin beats him up, so the cops get
Yes.
called and she and Noah have to flee, and then it cut to them very awkwardly watching TV together, like, oh look, we're so cute and cuddly but we don't have sexual tension, so
And so while this is happening, then Tessa gets a call from her friend, her econ friend, Landon,
which at this
who
point I was like, Landon, you are a bad
he is a
friend.
bad friend because what happens is he calls Tessa to come calm down Hardin, who has destroyed their family's mansion and just broke a bunch of glass and flowers all over the place because he's mad that
And
Jace
he's drunk.
and
Like,
Tessa kissed or something like that.
yeah.
And so then he's like, "You need to calm him down. He's got a lot of issues and I can't do it." I'm like, "Landon, this was a very mean thing of you to do." And so basically, they kiss and she comforts him and is like, "You know what will also help? I'll take off my pants so you can rub my legs quite a bit." And he's like, "That will help."
I
And
think that there is more than leg rubbing going on, Laura.
I had thought so as well, but there wasn't yet, Hannah.
Well, I don't think that there was like actual sexual penetration. I think that there
I
was
don't think
other
there was any
penetration.
penetration at
Oh,
all at
okay.
this point, honestly, by the way that the dialogue
I
goes.
I literally don't want to have a discussion anymore about what
I
happened in
don't
that
want to talk about this,
bed.
but the way that I interpreted this, because I had also thought upon first watching that there was more that had happened here, but then when we get further on, it is revealed that not very much at all has happened.
Mhm.
So I think it was just rubbing of sorts. I
That's
don't know.
so stupid if that was it. But
I
also,
think
like,
that's it,
I'm
honestly. And then
so
she
sorry.
sleeps over.
Sometimes I think about the implications of a scene. And not only do we have the implication that she's actively cheating on her boyfriend when he's visiting her, the worst time to cheat on your boyfriend because it's so easy to be caught,
Mhm.
but also the implication before this scene happens is like Hardin is angry and like drunk to the point of ruin where he cannot contain
And he's
anything.
being violent.
He's being violent. So I think the implication is like their first, like, even if it's like close experience, like, or second experience, he is likely incredibly almost blackout drunk. And
Yeah.
like that's also not okay. And that's not
Mhm.
healthy. And it's very weird it's very weird to me that the author put this specific, and I do know that I believe this book also has that scene in it. It is
Mhm.
very weird to put that scene in it for the main character who we are supposed to be rooting for. It's
Yeah.
wild.
So then, Tessa is going home, walk of shame style, and she's just like, I'll just ditch my bike right here in the middle of campus and walk the rest of the way. And Noah comes out of the dorm and is like, "What the heck? I called you a zillion times, and where have you been?" And she's like, it's nothing. I just had to help a friend." And suddenly Hardin is up there. He like appears there
Well, he had to
because
come get her because
I
he
think
loves
he's
her.
a vampire of some sort that he can just appear. But no, Noah's heartbroken because he realizes the implications of what has happened, which is that
Because of the implication.
there's it's just implications, basically, because we learn nothing has really happened at this point. But it's better for him to leave. There's been cheating, anyways. So he is just like, I don't think I can be with you, and they break up, and she's very upset, and her mom finds out about it and is like, you're cut off, like I cannot handle, you need to like get it together. And she shows up there and finds Hardin and just like
But
making out hard.
also, did they, this is the question my sister-in-law had. Did they A, not lock the door? B, did the mom have a key to her dorm room?
I think they just didn't lock the door.
That's
I
so
Because they're like,
strange.
after Noah leaves heartbroken, they're kind of just like, well, that's a problem solved. And so then they are just like, woohoo, we're freeballing it all over the place.
But
And
also in between this is like her mom like texting her and being like, no one told me what happened. And I was like, what was that
the
conversation?
mom
Again,
is too close with the boyfriend, is
and
another
he
issue
looks like
here.
he's 40, so that's
I
also
mean, they're
bad.
similar ages, but
They just have so much in common. They both love to shame Tessa. But like the mom is like, no one told me what happened. And I was like,
Mhm.
the next sentence, the first sentence should have been, I ran into Noah. He told me what happened. Are
Mhm.
you okay? So the implication would be like, he told me you broke up. He told me this, like, not Noah called me. It was like Tessa cheated on me while I was visiting
Yeah.
her. It's wild.
So then mom shows up because Tessa's not responding to her, which is a logical thing to do, I suppose, if your child is not responding to you and you're concerned about them. And she walks into the dorm room to find Tessa and Hardin, who have like finally decided like we're free to be together. And they're like, Tessa's on top of him, and the mother's like, you're cut off, like you need to break up with him, like clearly this roommate and all these people were a bad influence on you, and you're not focusing the way that I thought you would when you told me within the first 2 seconds of the movie that you totally would focus on econ, and I trusted a 17-year-old. And so what happens after that is Hardin's like, you know what, my dad's rich and you and I can live in this apartment together. And this is possibly some of the creepiest things that I've ever like encountered in these following montages.
Well, interspliced with this is just a whole lot of montages that are very confusing because it gets to the point where you're seeing so many montages. You start, and we both had this moment where we both thought that was a lot of montages,
It was too
and
many
then and
montages.
then they kept happening, and you're like, well, it's still a lot of montages. But
Hmm.
it got to so many montages, I started dissecting them between montages where I knew the song that was being sung and montages where I didn't know the song. Because that was also
Hmm.
wild of like, how much
Someone
did
with
this.
you.
Because there were certain montages where they would use like very poppy, like top 40 songs of the time. And you were
Hmm.
like, I know this one. And then there would be one where they were like, well, this was made for Netflix, but it wasn't because it got a theatrical release, but we'll just intersplice it with a song you don't know. And so it was very jarring to get the difference of like, we want
Yes.
to spend money, but not that much money.
Yes. So, yes, it's a weird series of montages, and then
Always of them being happy.
they're just very happy, and I hate it quite a bit. But then they end up she convinces Hardin to go to his father's wedding reception. And as his father, Peter Gallagher, is giving this nice speech about how he loves his child, Hardin starts loudly sharing with Tessa that my dad was a drunk.
So loud. You could have shared this during any time before a wedding toast.
My, and also, I shouldn't laugh because this is a terrible story, Hannah. This is so terrible.
It is
So,
awful, but also you're sitting there being like, how did you be
I'm
like,
laughing at the ridiculousness of the timing because he starts. Peter Gallagher's actually such a good actor that even he is making this toast to his new wife and his new stepchild and his son sound a little bit charming. And I'm like, you know what? You're very talented, Peter Gallagher, because even I'm buying into this and thinking this is a little bit nice. And then I'm like
but also
almost
like,
shocked because Hardin is not that far away. Everyone's clearly looking at him because the dad's directing this
well, and he's also
toast
like
to
my
him.
amazing son who is my whole world. And I do like I can't remember because I wasn't paying that much of attention. Was Peter Gallagher an active alcoholic, or was this like a discussion of like he had been an alcoholic and I do not forgive him? Because I was confused by
I
that.
took it as he had been an alcoholic, and I do not forgive him because he also Hardin also mentions at times like how he's upset that like his dad is here living the life in the
Got
fancy
it.
place, and how
Yes,
his
and he
mom
and
is in a
his
dump
mom,
in London.
right. Which
And
also
so there is
you
a lot
get
of like
totally fair to have a relationship with your parent where you're like, the relationship I had with you was not good and it was awful, and I do not think you have atoned for your sins enough.
he is allowed to have a very complicated relationship with his
He is
father. That's
allowed to
not what
do
I'm
that.
saying. I'm saying that the ridiculousness of this movie to make him loudly
But
talk about this very traumatic
and
story
it's also, but
during
also
this toast.
wild not to talk to your girlfriend about that, where she's like, I think we should go. And you to say, I have a very complicated relationship with my father. He is an
But he doesn't
alcoholic.
say it like that. He
I
says,
do.
my dad is a drunk. And one time, these guys that my dad got mad
Oh my
at
God, I forgot about that.
came
His
to
mom was
our
like,
house and they assaulted my
they
mom
assaulted his
because
mom.
my dad was not there.
Yes.
And so then what happens after that is the dad like comes over and is like, "Hello, son. I just gave this really sweet speech about you." And Hardin's like all fired up, like, "I could fight you now, Dad, because I just relived all of this." And Tessa does this thing that I hate where they do this in a lot of movies and young adult novels where it's like she has kissed someone twice. So now she's a worldly individual and she's like, "Excuse me, sir, let me just borrow your son for a while to dance with him if you don't mind." And
But also,
they like code her now as like she's mature now.
I'm
And
so sorry. It is still wild to me to like not tell your girlfriend about all of this fucking traumatic bullshit that like, or not
the
bullshit
thing
because it's
is,
not bullshit. You should have told her that before where you're deciding to go or not. Because I actually think it is very reasonable to be like, hey, dad, I understand you're a different person right now, but I do not forgive you for your past things and I will not be coming to your wedding because I will not be happy for you. I
and
also
she doesn't have the
understand,
context of this, so she's
right.
just like, "You're just being moody
Or
and
you
don't
could
want
be
to go."
like, or you could be a 22-year-old and be like, I want to go and try. And during the scene, you feel more emotional and you have to remove yourself from the situation. It is a wild context to be like, I am going to trauma dump as my dad is giving a speech about how much he loves me. And it's like, that's a weird thing in the context of what Peter Gallagher is telling us, because from what we've seen of him, he seems pretty pleasant. Like, and
Yes.
it is hard to believe, and I do believe that because people contain
Mhm.
multitudes, but it is weird in this movie to not have him like be more of a like POS or like something of like, yeah,
Because we get no context beyond this horrific story, honestly.
and it's horrific.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, but then the thing is, it seems Tessa is not phased at all by any of
No.
this because they go back to their apartment, which is actually not their apartment. Their dad, Tardan's dad, was leasing this to a professor who is like away for the rest of the
Yeah.
semester or something like that. And so they're like in there with that person's stuff and everything because they're like, ha ha, ha, look, she's an artist. She likes to paint. And so, anyways, they go back to this apartment and they have sex. She loses her virginity to him. This is when she finally loses her virginity to him. And I'm like deeply disturbed by this because
Right.
when this is the reveal that this is when she has lost her virginity, I'm like, okay, first of all, I was misled because I had thought that this had happened a long time ago, and no, nothing had happened previously, just a
Well,
lot of
I thought
cuddling.
they had done at least a little bit, but I thought it was one of those
I
like
don't think
everything
so.
but situations because I don't
I
think you
don't think
go
so.
straight, like, especially with the whole like
I'd
her
have
being
to look
like,
into it more with the text of the
yeah,
books or even Wattpad, but I refuse to do that. From what we know of the movie, the extent that I will watch, nothing has happened up until this point. So then she has sex with him and she starts to become like a little leery because Molly, bad girl Molly, is sending a bunch of texts to Hardin. She's like, I'm gonna tell her about what happened or whatever. And so he's just like, do you trust me, Tessa? And she's like, yes, always. I trust you more than anyone in my life, which bad choice, but whatever. And
nothing
so
you do could ever change the way I feel about you.
she says that, and it blows my mind that she feels that way. So
The
he
death
ends up
knell of
leaving, and
any
she's just like,
relationship.
yeah, he leaves and she's just like hanging out there for the longest time and she tries like texting him and he's not responding. She tries calling him, he's not responding. And so then the 40-year-old man texts her and is like, what would you say if I told you I knew where Jace was? And so she shows up and gets into a car with this man, which had me nervous for a little bit, but he does
You
in
mean
fact.
Hardin, right? Because like Hardin disappears, or no, he does say
Hardin
Jace, does he?
disappears, and then
Yeah,
she goes and uh, Jace had texted her and was like, "What if I told you I knew where Hardin was?"
right.
And so she shows up to this place, and Jace is in Hardin's car, and I got a little nervous because I'm like, "You're in a car with a man who is much older than you.
Yes.
Okay, this is a little nerve-wracking." But he does in fact take her to the place where the other friends are at, including Hardin, and they end up showing Tessa a video where it was from the very first party that we had mentioned at the beginning, the truth or dare situation, where after Tessa rebukes Hardin, they then dare Hardin to, I guess they didn't even dare him. He just
They
suggests
just,
that
yeah.
he will be able to make her fall in love with him and then he
Hmm.
will break her heart because he can do that and he doesn't believe in love because that's the type of guy he is. And so Tessa is heartbroken over this because in this amount of time she's basically thrown away her best friend, her boyfriend, her family, and a lot of things for Hardin because she thinks that they're in love. And he's like, I thought you just said nothing could ever change the way that you feel about me. And she's like, okay, but you lied. And so she goes home and she meets Noah on the track because it's a high school movie.
Yeah.
So
And
they
he's like,
reconcile.
it seems
He's
like he's a
very chill with
coach.
it and cool with it. He's cool with it all. And he's like, it makes sense. I get it. Like, we're cool, bro. Like,
Oh
ha ha
God.
ha. We're awesome. And so she goes and she also makes friends with her mom again. She goes back and she's living with Steph, but she has like kind of cut ties with them and she ends up interviewing for a English like editing
An
internship. She's
internship at a
back in her
publishing
Mormon
company.
clothes.
Yeah.
She's back in her Mormon clothes, so we know she's got it together. And at the end of the semester, she is given an essay from her English professor, which was written by Hardin, and it included photos of Tessa, which is mind blowing. But this
Also,
is,
her professor shouldn't be giving
you
someone
should
else's
not be,
paper to, that's not
that
okay.
is,
You should
no,
be
that's
going
not
before the
okay.
board. Like, don't do
And,
that.
and so then we are, as viewers, given some information on this where Hardin's voiceover reads this essay, which is terrible. And basically, what it is it says he quotes Wuthering Heights and then is like, "I love Tessa," and she's like, "I gotta run quickly to a secluded place," and, and she does, and he's there in this secluded place, and they're back together.
Can we talk about the reason the name is after? Because he says there was always the before Hardhead and then
Everything
there is
before Hardin, and then
after.
there's after Hardin. I hate it. I And I hate it.
My sister-in-law kept going, after what? And I was like, after she
After
met
him,
Harden, and she kept forgetting it like it
her
was
life has
memorial.
changed.
She actually
And you know
texted
what? There's
she texted
something
me
deeply
when we were
relatable about that because I feel like there was the before I watched this, and then there's the after I watched this. And I'm so much
uh,
angrier after. I'm so angry.
my
Children
sister-in-law
deserve better than to watch
texted
this.
me during our recap and said I'm getting irrationally angry at your discussion and being reminded about what this movie is because she heard it from the other room.
If only
Uh,
she could hear me because I feel like I'm providing the justice here. And you know what? I think I've summed it up in there's the before I watched this
Guys,
movie and the
Laura
after
rage
I've
texted
watched this
me
movie.
while I was
It's
planting my
terrible.
garden. Laura was rage texting me when I was
Hmm.
planting my garden and I was living for her updates because they were so funny. She was not enjoying herself at
No,
all.
it's a
I
terrible movie.
This is a terrible movie. It is almost unwatchable. My sister-in-law did
Almost,
say,
almost.
well, we both did watch it, so it is
We
watchable
were
on some
forced.
sets. I mean, we could have both been like, no, we're gonna watch the Anne Hathaway one, but we didn't. We finished it because it is bad enough to be horrendous, but like you can finish it. There's enough montages to get you through. But
Oh,
it
it's so
is
bad.
wild to me that this is like a like what young adults want to see because I think I was never like very contemporary romance when it came to like books like this of like, oh no, he's a bad boy because he's a bad boy and he drinks too much. Like I think
I want to give myself more credit that as someone that would have been like the target audience at the time that I would have been the target audience for this, that I wouldn't have fallen for some of this crap. And I think honestly, some of the lines are
yeah.
what does it for me, where I think even naive 16-year-old Laura could have watched this and thought, this is weird. Because in one of the montages, Tessa, I texted you about this, Hannah. Tessa is in seemingly an astronomy class. They have like the projection of the stars overhead, and she often is having like
Oh, and the
sexual
boyfriend just
daydreams
comes
about this.
in and
And he
starts
comes
like
in, is like
making out
making
with
out on
her.
her neck, and then he's
Uh,
like says to her, "What are you doing, Tessa? I'm learning about the stars." And we're supposed to find that romantic.
I was
I
like,
feel like I'm
why?
in the Tucker Carlson SNL sketch,
What's
and I'm
going
supposed to
on?
find that romantic. And we're all just like, no, you're not supposed to
No.
find that romantic.
That one was a weird one because I was like, she is in class. Like, we were talking about it from like, I remember I used to bring soup into class a little bit late. So I would go through the
Hmm.
back door, but everyone would see me come through because I would like climb over a row of
Sure.
chairs. And sometimes it was soup, but it was mostly like a sandwich. I was running after my
Your
full-time
shift.
job pretty much.
Hmm.
And I remember one time I was talking to my friend and I was like, oh yeah, that was the class that I always had to bring food into. I was always worried people were talking to me. And she was like, oh my God, that was you. We were talking about you.
Amazing.
She was like, you just always had food. And I was just like, why is she doing this? And I was like, well, I had a job. Like I needed to eat.
Right.
And so I was like, imagine being someone in that class and being like, guys, something really weird happened in class today. This
Yes.
girl's boyfriend came into the classroom and started making out with
Making
her
out on her
neck.
neck.
Like, that's wild. A lot
I
of
also
this,
need to go back to there was a moment in one of the montages
Laura's like,
where
I'm not done yelling at Hannah yet.
no, there you will get all of my wrath. There was a moment in one of the montages that they had like a brief text, a brief dialogue exchange where the two of them are in quote unquote their apartment and they're in a clawfoot tub that exists in this
Oh
place.
my God, I forgot about the tub with
And
her
this
soaking each.
was
And he's
creepy.
writing, I
He's
love
writing
you.
words on her back, and like the first one he writes, she's like, "Is it cat?" And he's like, "No, it was car." Ha ha. And then he starts writing "I love you" on her back, and she's like, "I don't know what it is. I don't know. Tell me what you wrote." And I wrote, "I hate these main characters." I texted you this. I hate these main characters so much. They're in the tub right now, and I'm like, "How did we get here? This is the worst." And I feel incredibly weird watching this.
Oh, I love making people watch really stupid shit. It's one of my favorite things.
My next
This
couple texts were, why is a 45-year-old man named Jace part of this friend group? And also, Molly could be the hero of this movie. She could ruin this awful relationship and spare us all. but even
Oh
Molly
yeah.
couldn't ruin this relationship. But I also wrote, I hope the professor fails him for that paper. I think the professor is one of the main villains of the story because she reunited them.
That is true. Um, Laura's so funny. A lot of her texts are amazing. I'll put
This
some
was
into screenshots
terrible.
with the TV show just so you guys can see just the live. Um, but like, I am fascinated by this because like this was incredibly popular. Like, the After movie took, it took $14 million to make because they wouldn't let
Hmm.
Tessa dye her hair to the same color. And it made $69.5 million at the box office.
Oh my
And
gosh.
again, I told you all of the sequels got theatrical releases. And one of them is named, this is my very favorite one. I love that this name exists because what was the author? Like, no offense to her author. She made her bag. People will make fun of this book. It's fine. One of them is named After Ever Happy. What does that mean?
What?
Because it's after we collided.
I get it's
After
supposed to be happily ever after, and we can't not start it with after. So we have to make it seemingly make no sense, as in Yoda says it or something.
after we
After ever
collided,
happy, there you are.
after we fell, after ever happy. And then after everything is the final one. There's also a prequel book called Before that is just about Hardin
No,
before he met
no,
Tessa.
no.
Um, this is so funny to me that like it's wild. Like the last one doesn't tell you how much it got made, and it only made 10.6 at the box office. So I do think it lost steam as it went through, but it is still amazing because like these were technically, I don't know, like they were technically successful for a group of people who enjoyed watching them. And you and I have never been super into books like this, but like it is
It's turning me off of all books in general.
it is weird to have like, because I mean, I was on fan fiction. Like, I remember reading books where they would do like a chapter break. Like, I remember there was one
Hmm.
Harry Potter one where they had to, like, there was like a home ec class and he got paired with one of the Quidditch girls and there was like a romance between the two of them. I remember they like got flour all over each other and then they kiss and then the chapter ends and you're like, I need to have more. And it's like, it is kind of like, it's a bunch of, and like, I think like fan fiction is a good way to learn your footing in writing. I'm not like crapping on that. But like fanfic is a very specific type of genre where often it's people getting their legs at writing and learning like tropes and stereotypes in writing and what kind of writer they are. So you have like Twilight was originally a Harry Potter fanfic and then it became the biggest thing in the world. So I do think it's interesting to
Twilight was?
yeah, Twilight was originally a Harry Potter fanfic. Um I think
Mm,
like loose and then I want to say that. Am I thinking of
I
something
thought
else?
Carry On was by
Um,
Rainbow Rowell.
let's see. One second. Um,
And I know some Cassandra Clare was
okay, maybe
also
I'm not thinking of maybe Twilight was a Harry Potter fanfiction. I forgot she had a dream about it. 50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fanfiction. And
okay.
like you have these genres of books that were like meant to be fanfic and then they change enough and they become like something big and then they become movies and they do things like that. And
Hmm.
I do think like it's interesting to see the Harry Styles ones because A,
Hmm.
it's created about a real person. So that's like, is Harry Styles, from what we see of him, a bad boy with a dad with a drinking problem? I don't know. But someone was like, I want him to be my bad boy. And so that's what he is. And
I
create
sent
like,
you a text too at one point and I said, I blame Taylor Swift for this because I do feel as if the idea of Harry Styles and some of the phenomenon around him being a love interest did come from his relationship with her. Because at the time when they were dating, he was kind of considered like one of the bad boys that she had dated.
yeah,
And because like him and John Mayer were the bad boys that she dated. And I do want to say that maybe that relationship is a little to blame for a lot of this Harry Styles fan fiction.
I mean, yes, I do think there, but like, I also remember One Direction was like a very big deal for a
They
certain
were, but
subset
I
of
also feel
girls.
like we need to acknowledge the Taylor Swift of it all and
That's
that
fair.
the power of Taylor Swift
Yeah,
and that people definitely, I mean, look at her own relationship right now, how it's been popularized into many movies and
yeah,
things and books and like all sorts of fan fiction and everything itself, where we're seeing a lot of like pop star ends up with football player and that type of thing. And I do think that we can't discount the fact that she does have this type of power that people may, in fact, lean too hard into like her relationships and want to create their own fictional worlds around them, even if it's just like we love this boyfriend that she had and we want to make more about him because British or
yeah.
whatever.
And well, like, but also like you have Red, White, and Royal Blue, which was like
Hmm.
kind of Prince Harry like fanfic. Like there are so many different ones that have inspirations from
Real
real
life people.
world.
Hmm.
And it is just interesting to me. And you and I were talking about the most recent alchemized book that
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
like isn't
Finland
that
is
and
Harry
isn't
Potter
it
fan fiction, I think.
Hermione
I want to say
fanfic?
so.
Um, so I think like it is a very specific type of genre that we don't talk about much because like we don't.
You know, I'm not opposed to things that start off online and make their way into traditional publishing. That's not my issue here because like I have talked about it recently on the podcast where I've read all of Lore Olympus
Hmm.
and by Rachel Smythe, and I think that that is a great series that started off on Webtoon and was just released in little snippets, and the creator really was able to take off and become successful from it because people really connected with this Greek mythology retelling. However, this series to me, this after series, is like harmful a little bit in my mind because of the things that it portrays and the way that young people will attach. I was also talking about this recently with like some relatives with like the power of romance novels,
Mm,
where we need to recognize that so many women read romance novels that we as readers and reviewers and as authors have like a responsibility to be able to parse out what are good relationships and what are bad relationships. And I
yeah.
think that especially YA authors have to be careful when
Hmm.
their audience is connecting with something like this where there's a lot of harmful things happening. And
Yeah.
I think after that I watched didn't portray a lot of healthy relationships and was a lot of red flags.
It is very weird how bad it is. Because like I knew this was a bad movie and like this got like
Hilarious to
very
dunk on, but it does
hilarious to dunk on.
concern me from the standpoint of like there will be young girls or there probably were young girls that watched this and were like, I love him, he's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's not great.
Yeah. I will say, like, looking at the ratings on it, it looks like it got an 18% on Rotten
Good.
Tomatoes.
It's possibly too
Uh,
high.
the audience did give it a B on Cinema Score. And then they said, like, the screenplay is kind of at fault, saying that it's like an innocuous teen pulp soap opera that flirts with danger, but in fact keeps it surprising, like, on how mild and safe and predictable it turns out to be. I will say, like, there is that, like, Harden is problematic and awful because he has very problematic ideals on what he's
Hmm.
espousing. He and like the drunk scene where he like does admit
Hmm.
that he doesn't drink because he can become an angry drunk and he does all these things, but like he does in fact get incredibly intoxicated and like
Hmm.
breaks a glass and it like cuts her feet and it is very, but like he almost is like a bad boy without any teeth because he doesn't really get into anything. Like he's not doing anything. He's just kind
I
of
think there's just like
being
the
mean to his
similar to like the
girlfriend.
sex scenes, there's like the implication that it could be there. And then when we
Yes.
learn about like his father's background, that we're maybe more concerned that there's like a history of these types of things and that he has
Yeah.
some deep-seated trauma that he's not addressing.
Right. But overall, I mean, it's a bad movie. I'm not going to
Oh,
sit
it's
here and
terrible.
defend it. It's terrible.
Terrible.
I may, Laura,
Terrible.
watch it as a bit. Let's be realistic here, guys.
And I've been
Like,
going hard the past few minutes, but I do think that as far as like I was saying, like, oh, there's a lot of things created online. Like I really enjoyed Lore Olympus. I do think there's lots of fan fiction that is actually
yes.
excellent and
Yes.
many great writers out there. Like I actually have like I used to read a lot of Game of Thrones fan fiction
Oh,
actually,
fun.
like when I was watching the show, and I actually really enjoyed a lot of that. I thought it was pretty good. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. There's good Star Wars fan fiction. There's
Yeah.
a lot of I read a lot of Harry Potter fan fiction too. There's a lot of good fan fiction out there.
I
So
wrote Harry Potter fan fiction, guys. So like I
mhm.
don't think you and I are sitting here being like we
We're
are
not opposed
above
to
this.
that type of
No,
thing.
it's just
Absolutely
this
not. And we're
one was
also
bad.
not opposed to bad movies
No.
because Hannah, you and I enjoy a bad movie. And I have mentioned some movies before on the podcast where I'm like, I actually liked that movie. And people are like, that's a terrible movie. And I've been like, whoops, nostalgia. So,
It'll get you every time. But this
but
movie
this
was
was a
one
bad
that
one.
I have a
And when
weird
you come into it
fascination
as a
with it.
30-year-old,
I have
different.
a weird fascination with these types of movies because of the like, it's just so wild to me that something this wild, I should say, this
Hmm.
wild gets like five theatrical releases.
That
And
is mind blowing. To me, that's like, I can't believe that so Netflix was like the studio for this.
no. They just
Okay.
got released to Netflix
Okay.
afterwards. So this one was I'm not sure the studio. It's Aviron Pictures was the
Okay.
distribution.
Hmm.
Um and they had a bunch of production companies, including Wattpad Studios. So, and
Interesting.
I think that was something I remembered at the opener. They had like five production company opening lines, and you kept being like, I think there's too many here.
Yeah.
And they all wanted to be highlighted. So,
Hmm.
it looks like Aviron Pictures, which was the distributor, only had six movies that they ever distributed, all between 2017 to 2019,
And
including
they were all after.
no, including Serenity, which was a terrible movie with again starring Anne Hathaway, Woman of the Hour, and Matthew McConaughey as her dead husband. So
Okay.
like um yeah,
Okay.
this is a weird one. I'm glad
It's
I
weird.
made you
I can't
watch
believe
it
that.
because I'm a little bit of a scamp when it comes to things like this where I'm like, oh no, I've never seen this movie. I had actually no want to watch it, but I will suggest it and then we will watch it. Like,
Yeah, this one was terrible. It was
yeah, it's not
terrible.
good. It's not good.
I
Um,
do think though we should maybe we recently both gushed about Tilly and Technicolor by Maisie
yeah.
Eddings that I think was good YA romance. Maybe we should come up with like a list of good YA romance in order to counteract our bad deed of watching this movie
Oh
and
gosh.
projecting it out into the world.
Projecting it out to the world. I do love Never Have I Ever. I've been rewatching it. It is
Mhm.
excellent YA, in my opinion. I just love it so much. The look at grief, the look at having a complicated main character who's kind of the worst, but also cares a lot about people. Excellent
We didn't have to
narration.
come up with it right now. I was thinking like for a blog post or something
Oh, okay.
in the
Well, we don't have to
future
think about it
to
right now, but
counteract our
I
ever
was watching
after
that coming up.
happy.
So, you don't have to, you guys check it out later as we do love YA. We do love fan fictions. We just didn't love this, but I did
Yeah, this was
love.
not good, and I'm concerned. Also, I learned that the like person that plays Hardin Scott played young Voldemort
Yep.
in one of the
Well, he's Ray
Harry Potter
Fiennes'
movies.
nephew.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So a little Nepo baby made it into this.
Oh, beautiful. We love to see it. He's also the man for our Maisie Eddings interview that's upcoming. He was the one I suggested to be the fuckboy boyfriend.
Oh, it's all adding up, Hannah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ah,
And this is where you
beautiful.
discovered him.
I saw clips of him and I was like, "Oh, that would be
Got
very
it.
funny. He's terrible, so why not use him?" So, yep.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you guys
Well,
for
we got
joining
to be
us
done
for
because
this
I'm ready to beat my
wild.
head against a wall. So if I
Lauren
talk about
wants
this movie
to
much longer,
exercise this movie from her mind.
yep,
She's going to be
it's gotta
busy.
leave.
Please join us tomorrow as we interview Fonda Lee, and we will see
Yes.
you then. Follow us on all the social platforms, and come talk to us about After over on the Discord. So, should you
Yes.
choose to do so,
OWWR POD.
Pod. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.